Do not use your wife's wand because you're going to ruin it and she's going to kill you.
And when we're talking about wands, we're talking about the mixing wands,
Yeah,
not your wife's bedroom wand.
yeah. Both make a similar sound.
They both make a similar sound. All right. Off the sick jokes.
Hey, that's where I live my life. You've got
Yeah,
extreme,
yeah.
you've got like
Just kind of got set up
church,
right there.
and then you've got me. Welcome to part 2, episode 8, with Alex Wallace, my brother-in-law. And this episode we talk about soap making and basically how you can make soap from lard from the animals you kill. We talk about a lot of other like home care products and stuff like that, and different things you can make that have to do with natural stuff, things you can find in the outdoors. We get off in the weeds a lot in this podcast, so hopefully you can bear with us and have a good time listening. But I hope you guys enjoy, and as always, like and subscribe. All right, so we're back in part 2. We'll make this a separate episode. But so the last episode, if everybody missed it, go back to the other episode with Alex Wallace, and we were talking about mead and beer and all kinds of stuff like that, and different things you can kind of do with it. Kind of out of the norm, I guess. Talked about cider and a little bit of the history of all that kind of stuff. Pretty neat stuff. So with these 2 episodes, I'm really talking about like lost arts, right? So it seems like, brewing, the microbrewery and all that kind of stuff is starting to become more popular. Well, it's been popular now for a few years, but it's still, up and coming. But what we're going to talk about in this episode is like soaps and all kinds of stuff like that. So a lot of people don't know that they originally started making soap from like lard and which is basically fat from animals and stuff. You want to
And wood ash.
Yeah, that's right, and wood ash. You wanna start going into all that and break that whole thing down?
I'll try my best here. Yeah, so basically soap in its natural state is actually considered a salt. And a salt is basically adding a base to an acid, and it's emulsified. And in the case of soap, the process is called saponification. So back in the day, what would happen is people would save up their fat from cooking, like the lard and the beef suet.
Well, and a lot of people don't know too that bear was so popular.
Well, it's very greasy.
Yeah, because of that, and that was a huge market back then. And I think it was Daniel Boone. I think it was Daniel Boone that like he was one of the big bear hunters back then, and so he would actually go out and kill like, I think there's records of him killing like hundreds of bears. And they would render all this lard and stuff for cooking. And before buffalo was a big thing to eat, bear was actually higher on their menu list than buffalo. And probably because of, that being one of the big things. I mean, people need fat for sustenance and everything,
And that makes sense with
and then
bears because they fatten
yeah,
themselves up all year to get ready for hibernation. And
yeah.
yeah,
So and then you turn it into soaps and all kinds of stuff like that. But and plus it was a great thing for making was it pemmican? I think. So basically, it was a way of curing your meats and stuff like that. Where and I might be a little bit off, but I think I'm pretty close. Um, was it would be like a dried meat, and then they would take lard and they would mix it with the meat with like berries and stuff like that, like blueberries or something, and they would eat it on the trail, and it would keep for months, and it would give them their fat stores, it would give them their vitamins and stuff like that they would need out there, and apparently there's accounts of people eating pemmican, like or finding pemmican from way back in the early 1900s, and still being able to it's still being edible.
hmm.
But just a fun historical fact. But anyway, go ahead, talk about talk about soap. I get off of my
No, that's
soapbox, no pun intended.
no, that's very interesting. I didn't really, I did not know about that about Daniel Boone or the Bears for, uh, yeah, for what you were saying there. But it totally makes sense. The other thing that they would use would be hardwood ash, and this is where they would actually extract their lye from. And I think I believe the way that they would do that would they burn the wood and it would go through a filtration process, where they're like basically watering it down and filtering out the actual ash and extracting the lye from it. And that's how they would do it really back in the day. And one of the old world uh, soaps that I like to make. I've never done it where I've filtered out my own lye. It's much easier just to buy the lye and then go through that whole process. And I don't generally use animal fat. I'm usually using vegetable oils, which is very typical. Um,
Have you
but
thought about using like animal fats just as a fun kind of?
and I have not as like a full blown recipe. I do use lard in my shaving soaps as an ingredient. Um, just because of the different characteristics that it provides. Shaving soap is a very particular type of soap where the end product you want the bubbles to be like these small, very minuscule. I don't want to say microscopic because that's not true, but like I mean, very small bubbles. When you're whisking it, you don't want the large bubbles that would be produced by other oils, and the lard helps provide that within a shaving soap. So like in the things on the movies where you see the old cowboy and he's got his brush
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, and that little circular bar, and they're putting on that lather or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You want those small bubbles because they're stronger. They're stronger in texture, and they just hold better than like um, another soap would, and that's basically the characteristic that you would want with a shaving soap.
So that would make sense too. That, um, I mean, maybe because they didn't really have access to any other types of oils, maybe.
It's good
But
good part of it.
yeah, but the lard, because you see all the, those cowboys and all that kind of stuff, they're shaving and everything like that, or at least you see that in the movies. uh, maybe that was another benefit to the soaps that they had. Um, you know, just the lard soaps provided that good texture that they needed to shave with.
Yeah. There's that, and also like what you're saying, what was available. Let's face it, they probably didn't have readily a good supply of olive oil
Hmm.
or coconut oil
Yeah.
or palm oil. I mean, these are all basically tropical oils, or olive oil is Mediterranean.
Hmm.
So I mean that would probably just cost a pretty penny right there. I think we do grow some olives here in the U.S., but we're not exactly known for our olive production here in the U.S. even today.
Right.
But I mean that nowadays that oil is very readily available,
Yeah, easy to come by.
as opposed to having to kill several different animals. But I mean that was the easy way of doing it back then. And you can easily do today. But one of the old world, not old world, the one of the older historic recipes that I like to do is a pine tar soap,
Yeah, I love that, man.
and we've actually made that together. Aaron and I have, and it does come out as a wonderful, wonderful soap. I mean, it by itself smells good. You can add some essential oils to it to give it a little bit more of a kick as far as scent goes. But honestly, just the regular pine tar, I mean, it's just like a nice manly smell. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it really is. It makes
The feminists are gonna kill you.
yeah, yeah, that's true. But I mean, yeah, when you're showering or whatever, it makes your whole shower
Oh,
smell like
man.
pine. It's
I
wonderful.
love it. Like that was the best thing. We're gonna have to make some more, but that was the best thing. I walk into my bathroom, and even the hallway and everything like that just smelled like that pine tar soap. And you hear tar, and you're like, yeah, that sounds horrible. But
Hmm.
I mean, it smells so good. Like,
Well, for the listeners, maybe you could explain what pine tar is actually used for. I mean, it does have a purpose in itself.
oh, it's got all kinds of different
Being on the be, yeah
good
being on the
use.
ranch, like
Oh, it's got all kinds of different uses. Like, in rodeo and stuff, they use it for like the pine pitch, for like a resin, and for your bull ropes and all kinds of stuff. Help your glove stick. Um, Use it for with like fire starters. You can use it for um, like skin treatments and stuff like
I've
that.
seen them
You can,
using it in nurseries or whatever to, like, after they cut twigs off of branches or branches off of trees or whatever, to protect the wound of the
yeah.
tree itself from parasites and from fungus and that type
Right.
of thing. I mean,
You
they use it
paint
for
it
that type
on
of
your
stuff. Yep.
you paint it on your posts and stuff like that too. I mean, not so much anymore,
Yeah.
but
They use it on the hoofs of
yeah,
horses and
yeah,
cattle.
for hoof rot. I mean, just there's so many different uses for it, and really, it's kind of a I don't want to say a taboo thing, because I've seen a few places that make a pine tar soap, but um, it's almost one of those things that I think kind of flies under the radar, you know. Um, it's not a readily available
No,
thing,
there's one brand, and I forget what it's called out there. I think it's like Grandpa's Pine Tar or something like that, or something like, yeah. And I've seen it in um, Whole Foods, those types of establishments. But that would be like the one that you could probably just get off the market. But honestly, I swear mine is so much better.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was like
That's not
awesome.
bragging. That's just like, I mean, that other one's mass produced. This one, we sit there, and it's funny making this soap because it's so much different from other soaps. Typically, when you're making a soap, whatever you put into it, eventually you're adding, like I was talking about earlier. You've got your oils, and you have your lye. Now the lye needs to go into a solution, but you never when you're doing that, the solution. Let's just say that it's water. I mean, that's the most basic thing right there. I use other things occasionally, but we'll just say water for right now. You never want to add water to dry lye.
That is a safety tip.
That is a safety
If
tip.
you
Yes.
do not know how to do this, do not add.
Soap making requires gloves. You should have goggles. And you need to follow the procedure. It is important because lye is caustic. It will burn your skin, just like in Fight Club. You know, where that scene where Brad Pitt's burning what's his name, Edward
Norton.
Norton. Yeah. Burning his hand with lye. Yes.
I'm glad I remembered that because I couldn't remember his name for the life of me.
Yeah. No, he's a great actor, but yeah, I was having a brain fart there. But no, it's very important that you do follow the procedure because if not, you could have some problems, and you have to be very cognizant when you are making soap. Particularly keep the kids out of the room, that type of thing. Because when you're playing around with the lye, yes, lye will burn. I mean,
absolutely,
it will. And
it sucks when you get it on you.
Yeah, you need to wear the proper gloves and everything, and just be cognizant when you're doing it. But yeah, so basically, when you are making the soap. You add the lye to the water or whatever liquid solution that you are using at the time, and you need to make sure that it mixes up. What's going to happen is chemical reaction where that solution now is going to heat up. It's going to heat up extremely. It's going to go from what you're adding. You could have 30-degree water, and then a minute later it's going to be 170 degrees. It's going to heat up a lot. And a lot of times, like what I'll do to kind of speed up the process, I'll throw that solution, I will safely place it into the freezer.
All over your jailmate.
Yeah, I'll safely place it into the freezer. I a lot of times like to make soap during the winter time or whatever when it is cold outside because I can just throw it again. I can put it outside. And at the same time, you're in another vessel. You're sitting there. You're heating up your oils. And I say heating up because a lot of times it'll, at least for me, I like to use coconut oil, and that does require to heat up to melt and be able to mix into the other soap or into the other oils. So you might have some liquid oils and some solid ones. Like coconut oil or palm oil, or even like soot or lard.
Well, and that's what I was about to say. That being said, if you're looking to make your own like lard soap, like a traditional soap, you're gonna have to heat it up. You're gonna have to get it into a liquid form. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's just
the oil.
It's just not gonna work.
Yeah. And so what happens is you have these two different things. You got the warm oil and you got the warm lye solution, and you're gonna mix it. And the key to this is you mix it between. You want both of them to be between about 100 to 110, 120 degrees, somewhere around there. Closer to between 100 and 110 is usually the money spot right there. And you mix it, and then you just take one of those wands, the mixing wands, and you sit there and you mix that in a bowl. Both those different solutions, the oil and the lye solution, and you mix that until what they call is a trace.
Yeah, how many of those wands have we gone through? It's been a few of them. It burns through those wands, so just so you know.
Yeah, you either buy like a nice expensive wand that's going to last you for a good amount that you get, I don't know, like an insurance policy on,
Yeah,
or
but
just
you're
buy a
gonna
bunch of cheap ones. I don't know.
do not use your wife's wand because you're gonna ruin it and she's gonna kill you.
And when we're talking about wands, we're talking about the mixing wands,
Yeah,
not
we're
your
not-
wife's bedroom wand.
Yeah. Both make a similar sound.
They both make a similar sound. All right. Off the sick jokes.
Hey, that's where I live my life. You've got extreme, you've got like
kind of got set
church,
up right there.
and then you've got me. Like
Yeah.
I'm right there.
Yeah. So back on subject. So yeah, you mix this up to a point where it's called trace, and basically that's where you can pull the wand out of the liquid, and you see it kind of dripping onto the surface, and you can actually see the dripping onto the surface, like it doesn't dissipate, like a very thin. A thin consistency. It's like a thicker one. I would almost say like
Almost
like
like
a
pudding.
heavy, pudding or a heavy cream or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
So basically, if that wasn't explained well enough or you didn't quite understand it, so if you were to maybe run a spoon through pudding,
you'd be able to see it on the back.
Yeah, you see that line that kind of goes across the pudding. That's called tracing. So that's what we're talking about when he says, you want it to be tracing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So that's how you would make any type of typical soap. Now coming back to the pine tar soap, pine tar is very interesting because you don't need a wand mixer at all. You do this all by hand because the pine tar
Sets up so fast.
Yeah, the way that it acts, it like you sit there, you mix it with a wooden spoon, and I'm not joking. Within 30 seconds to a minute, it is thick enough to throw into the mold. But I mean, you have to be really, really cognizant to when you're making this type of soap, and you have to have all your other stuff ready right away. Your mold ready and everything.
Yeah, and I will say, and I have an issue with, and I never used to when I was younger, but I think, the time that I spent in South Carolina, North Carolina, Fort Bragg, all that kind of stuff, going through all that, I think my body got too much, maybe, poison ivy, and so now I'm like, very allergic to poison ivy to the point where like I just touch it and I get all kinds
Lots of welts.
Yeah, I get lots of welts and I itch like crazy and stuff. And the thing that I noticed, and maybe this is
It's
all
an
in my
old timer
head.
remedy. I know where you're going with this.
Maybe this is all in my head, but it seems like the pine tar really, really helped break down that reaction that I'd have. If you're not familiar with the Southeast, there's freaking poison ivy everywhere.
It's not poison ivy. It's poison oak, and you got poison sumac down here.
Poison oak. Yeah.
And like we got poison ivy up north more, but the
Sorry, I was misspeaking. It was
the
poison oak that I get into all the time down there. But yeah, so yeah, it tears me up. But whenever I had that pine tar, and I actually did tests when we were doing that, when we were making the pine tar soap and everything, and it drastically seemed like I had a lot less of a reaction from poison oak when I was using that pine tar soap.
Well, there's two cool things with pine tar soap. Well, it being, like I said, it's an old time remedy type product that like a lot of Appalachia
Yeah.
would use back in the day. Like what Aaron's talking about right there. If you do get poison ivy, the way that this helps is like when you're taking a shower or whatever, you lather up a lot on wherever your rash is. And you let it sit for like a minute or so, and you just let it kind of dry out and just do whatever it is, just good lather on that spot, and then you wash it off. And I've given it to people at work or whatever because they've told me about like the poison oak that they've got, and I gave them a bar. They're like, man, that stuff actually does work. It helps clear it up that much faster. It really does. And I don't really know what it is within the pine tar itself that does that, but I'm telling you, everybody I talk to, it seems to work. Another aspect is that I've noticed is during the summers down here in the southeast, they're not like the mosquitoes down here are not like the ones up north. They're like these freaking weird tiny ninja mosquitoes that you don't even know are freaking biting you. It's not like the big ones up north where it's like, okay, that's a big guy, and then you swat them, there's like blood on you. It's like all these like little ones that like they just sneak up on you, and then you're just itching like crazy. Like, what the hell?
And I heard there's a bunch of different types of mosquitoes too. Not to get off on a tangent, but I heard
these are called tiger mosquitoes, I think.
Yeah, but there's a bunch of different types
I
down
call them ninja mosquitoes.
in the southeast, where they're like, you've got some that are more susceptible to carry the West Nile virus and all that kind of, and different diseases and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, just on a side note, there's tons of different types of mosquitoes. Like the ones in Alaska, I think are like a different breed altogether.
They probably are.
And in Montana too, like we have, I don't know what type. I'm not a insectologist or whatever you call those guys, but
insectologist.
But anyway, like they're just everywhere during certain times of the year. But I know down in the south, I think there's like 4 or 5 different types, and I could be wrong on that, but I know there's definitely a few different types.
I know there's one type in my yard that I freaking hate, and so.
And it's
coming back to chemicals, I don't like putting in my products. I have no problem putting mosquito chemicals out my yard because I freaking hate the mosquitoes here. But coming back to the pine tar soap, one of the things that happens with pine tar actually is it's also a mosquito repellent. And so the more that you wash with it, the more that residue kind of sticks to your skin, the less you're going to be susceptible to mosquito bites.
And that actually works too. I had tested that as well.
Did you test out in the field of taking the soap and actually rubbing it on your clothes?
Yeah, actually, I did. And
'cause I've heard that as well.
Yeah, it works. It works. Now, I have not had enough time to really test it for animal behavior. As far as the hunting side of things go, are they going to run away from certain scents, or is this going to work as kind of like a cover scent?
I'd imagine it'd probably work more of a cover scent as long as you're not using ridiculous essential oils in there, because it's just pine. It's just a tree.
Right. Well, see, and that's what I wanted to test it on and see how that worked. But I just haven't had a chance to really test that yet.
You might want to be careful with the suet and pig lard, because you might have a bear on your ass in a second. Like, man, you smell good.
I would love that, because bear is so damn tasty. and for if you're
it's all right if it's in front of you, but if it's behind you, going like, you smell good.
You got a pretty mouth.
You got a pretty mouth, boy.
But no, I mean, if you're listening to this podcast or my podcast at all, and you think that we're not going to talk about killing animals, or you're upset because I am talking about killing a fuzzy little bear, then
have you seen Super Troopers?
Oh yeah.
Stop it!
Oh yeah.
Bear fucker. Sorry. I apologize.
So I saw this picture. There's a picture of Burt Reynolds, and he's all laying out or whatever. He's got like all that black chest hair and stuff like that.
Dude, that's a legitimate Playgirl centerfold.
Are you serious?
Yeah, Burt Reynolds did a Playgirl photo shoot.
Okay, so I didn't see his dong or anything like that. Like I just saw literally the.
But that's where that's from.
Really, I didn't realize that. But
I'm
when I saw that, I was thinking that he was wearing like.
I should have not mentioned that.
Yeah,
why do I know that?
There's a. I think there's a reason. I think there's something that's hiding. But you did say that your
Everybody,
wife.
I am married.
Yeah, but you also said that your wife is open to new things, and apparently so are you.
I'm talking about food.
Hey, I mean, whatever you want to eat, buddy. But yeah. So when I saw that picture, I was thinking, that guy's wearing a black bear rug, because it's like the thickest patch of black fur that anybody could ever have on their chest.
We're talking about Burt Reynolds here, though. Come on, the man
is a legend.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
He's definitely a legend.
And God rest his soul. He just passed away this year, but let's face it. I mean, when you think of
last year, wasn't it?
Was it last year? Okay.
I thought it was last year. Right, recently.
Within the last year.
Yeah, recently.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't think of Burt Reynolds and not think mustache.
I was thinking, yeah, definitely Smokey and the Bandit.
Ah, man, that man can sport a mustache. I was like, there's only a few of them out there. Tom Selleck.
Yeah, Tom Selleck.
He's a mustache sporter right there.
You know what? You know what's weird?
I wish the mustache would actually come back. A lot of people, they're like, oh, they laugh about it. I wish it would come back.
So there are some people that are bringing it back, like Cody Rich with the Rich Outdoors podcast. He's got the porn stash.
He's got the porn stash.
Seems like a great guy. Never met him, Cody. If you're hearing this, I'm not making fun of you.
I'm not talking about like these millennial coffee drinking whatever, these little tiny mustache. I don't want to see that.
With the skinny jeans, with the little
no, I'm talking about big manly mustache.
Yeah, but I mean, see, you got
Wyatt Earp.
You got Burt Reynolds with the cowboy hat and stuff like that, and a porn stash. It's like, hey, I'm ready to get down to business.
All right, so just to remind everybody, this is the second part of the podcast, and there has been some drinking going on.
Yeah.
So the conversation's kind of.
The first podcast we talk about drinking, and the second podcast we got down to business.
Yeah. All right, so gonna rein this back in here. All right.
So yeah, I mean, the pine tar though, I mean, it really does do a lot of. If you haven't tried pine tar, seek it out. We gotta get the whole grit and grunge thing.
Aaron and I we've been playing around with an idea for about the last year, and I think it's a good time. I don't know if you've kind of talked about it before, but it's actually putting together a line of different type of body products, which would probably consist.
I've tested the shit out of our chapstick.
Yeah, we've got chapstick. We're with my experience with soap, we'll be working on some of that. Also done in the past, talking about mustaches. I do have mustache wax.
Who wants a mustache ride?
Who wants a mustache ride? Yeah, it's Super Troopers again. Rabbit, when are you going to grow a mustache? I am.
I might try it. I might just get rid of the beard and just go with the mustache. I think I'm going to do it.
You should.
I'm going to do it.
You should.
My wife will hate me.
Yeah. My wife hated me for like a week, and then I was like, well, I want to get laid again. So
I want to, Mike.
So I shaved it off.
So Mike, if you don't remember Mike, he was in episode 3, I think it was. Went down to hunt with him in New Mexico, West Texas. And so at one point, if you can imagine, he actually had the handlebar mustache.
Did he?
And I talked him into having the handlebar mustache, like where it started to curl and all that kind of stuff.
See, I used to do that. I used to do that, and it drove her crazy. Like, not in a good way crazy. like what the hell are you doing? You look like
you look ridiculous. You
look
like a
one
villain.
of those people in the what do you call it? The circus that comes to town. I'm like, oh great, I'm a carny.
You look like
awesome.
the villain on like some old school cartoon.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you. Yeah, exactly. No, but I have produced that before, and actually I've had compliments on that. I did do a line at one point, and just like a little bit more background. I was doing farmer markets for a little bit, and so I was selling soap and some of like my other grooming products, I guess is what we could call them. I do have witch hazel based tea infused aftershave. I do a line of pre-shave oils. I mean, basically focusing on the basically the old-fashioned way of shaving, which, if anybody has ever had ingrown hairs or whatever in their beard, the old-fashioned way is the best way to go, because first of all, those razors with all those multi blades or whatever, all that does is it cuts those. It actually cuts those hairs too low, where it pulls it up, and then the hair drops underneath your skin, and so it goes back into the follicle, and that's where you end up getting ingrown hairs. Same thing with the electric shavers. The electric shavers kind of do the same thing. It pulls it up, and then it drops down below your skin, and so that's where you get a lot of those ingrown hairs. But if you have like a single blade, and there's a couple good ones out on the market, this is how our grandparents and our great-grandparents used to shave, or with these old safety razors, or even the straight blades, if you can figure that out. I'm not going to suggest that for anybody who's not experienced, but like the old safety razors, the ones that you twist the bottom and it opens up, and then you replace like a new blade inside it. Those things are freaking great.
Yeah,
if you they're great, and they're actually very affordable, like the blades.
If you want to start out with like one of those straight razors, I would recommend shaving your arms or your legs. So if you start to bleed, you're not cutting an artery. Hey, all right. So wrestling, yes, I'm going to admit it. Fully gay moment here. I shaved my legs at one time. So this is going out to the nation. Yes, at one time I shaved my legs.
This is Alex Wallace again. I have not.
No, but yeah, I would definitely recommend using a straight razor on your extremities before you start to do it on your throat.
Yeah, before the more vital areas.
Yeah,
you could really fuck up.
Get some practice on that. But yeah, I mean they work really well. So we have been talking about coming out with these line of products, and we've done some testing and shit. I've been testing these different chapsticks for the better part of a year.
Mm-hmm. And you've been playing around with different uses of them, right?
Oh, absolutely. So we have chapsticks, and this is not a launch. I will actually announce when we do launch, but I've got chapsticks that are better for like hot climates. I've got chaps, and to the point where I've actually set them in the window when it's been over 80 degrees outside of my vehicle with the windows up, and it not melt. And I've carried it all over, lasts forever, all that kind of stuff. I've used it for bowstring wax because we don't use any unnatural products in it. So it doesn't harm your bowstring at all. I've used it for a fire tender, like putting a coat on your fire tender and stuff like that, so that So it helps protect it from moisture and everything like that, especially in a survival situation. Used it for different like rashes and cuts and stuff like that. Used it for sealant, like a very short term
Tent
like
sealant,
tent
right?
sealant.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's more of like an emergency fix if but it does work for that. I mean, there's a shit ton of different uses for it.
And
So
and what we've developed here is one of the base materials is Aaron's beeswax.
yeah,
Um,
not that I have a patent on the beeswax because the bees do all the work, but
the bees do all the work. Yeah.
well, not all the work. It takes some work to actually render that stuff out, um, but yeah, I mean that is by far the best product. And I will say too, if you go to Walmart or whatever, and this is not to pick on Walmart, this is just to highlight some of the products that they might for sure have at their place. This is not a
Lots of preservatives and
well, it a lot of something I found after talking to Kenetrek is that if you like with boots and stuff like that, if you use an animal based sealant for your boots, what'll end up happening is the I don't know if it's the oils or whatever in the lards or that they're using the oils from the animals or exactly what it is, but something having to do with the animal based products tend to eat away at the glue in your different boots. So if you use like a more natural beeswax product, then it doesn't do that. It actually preserves your boot.
so when you say an animal based, you're talking about lard.
Like mink oil, or that
Okay,
kind of thing.
okay.
Um,
Okay, but the
yeah,
actual wax. So it's not necessarily animal as much as we're talking wax versus oil.
right, right. So the
Yeah.
wax obviously is going to um, last longer, and not that you should go a long time without preserving your boots, but it lasts longer and it doesn't eat away at your. I guess because of the degradation of it.
Hmm.
Um, the animal fats actually end up eating away at the glues that they use in your boots.
Hmm.
So, they'll start to come apart, and it's not going to be something that happens overnight. It's going to, be a little bit down the road. But some of these hunting boots are hundreds of dollars,
Oh yeah.
So if you have got a good pair of boots, why would you? Why would you? I would want to preserve them as long as I can. So
Yeah.
I would use.
Or a good pair of Jordans for that matter.
Yeah. No.
Talk about hundreds of dollars, right?
Yeah. I mean, literally. I mean, I don't know what Jordans go for because I've never owned a pair, but I can tell you.
I hear that they're expensive.
Yeah, I know my boots are expensive, but well worth it if you buy a good pair of boots. Preserve them with a beeswax or something like that, a beeswax based product, and that's also something that we've developed as well. It's kind of hard to find something like that. I know Kenetrek has their own product, and they kind of warn against using animal-based products. But
That's interesting.
yeah, so
So coming back, yeah. So soaps, chapsticks, kind of playing around with bug repellents outside of the pine tar soap, like what we were talking about. But I think we had something for animal tick repellent at one point that you played around with Ranger.
yeah, Ranger is my dog. Yeah, definitely. So what was interesting is the way I tested the insect repellent. Well, one of the ways that I tested the insect repellent was I stuck a bar next to my bees. and it's like they made this sphere around it.
Yeah.
Like I put it right at their entrance, and they'd make this like sphere around it.
They didn't like it.
No, they would not go
Now,
near
bee
it.
is not ticks, but at the same time, that kind of
Right.
gives you an idea that bees don't like. And what was in that?
The
essential oil.
in the pine tar.
No.
Yeah.
ticker
So, what was it? I've got it written down. We've got the recipe and everything for it.
Yeah,
but,
there's too much.
I want to
There's
say
too
it was
much
like
even for
yeah, but I know for sure it was like rosemary and I think basil extract and some different things like that. Some stronger stuff, which you can if you actually talk to some of the old timers and taking it to gardening and everything. And I tested this as well. My tomatoes did absolutely awesome when I started putting basil and rosemary next to my tomatoes.
I've heard that. Particularly,
Yeah.
not so much rosemary. I haven't heard that, but yeah, the basil I've heard, which makes wonderful sense if you like caprese salads.
Oh yeah, like I
freaking
had
love tomatoes.
crap tons of tomatoes and like absolutely no bug issues with it in the South, and that was I thought amazing. So, but the one thing that I didn't experience with it is that people didn't. Well, people have told me that you have like a different tasting tomato and stuff, and I didn't experience that. So, I mean,
Because of the basil?
yeah, I had heard that if you plant basil next to your tomatoes, it starts to taste more like a basil and tomato mix.
I've never heard that, but it does make sense. I mean, if you got bugs and bees and all this crawling all over that stuff. But, man, I love tomatoes. Really, we're kind of off base as far as subjects goes.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, I can sit here. I can talk about tomatoes for quite a while. Living in the South, this is actually kind of a funny thing. They have tomato sandwiches down here. Like, I mean, up north, I never heard of one. Like, no, down south, you smear mayonnaise on 2 pieces of bread, and you throw in big chunks of tomatoes and big thick slices, and that's it.
I got a little bit of ridicule the other day because I took slices of tomatoes and took.
You put cheese on it.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Well, I put cheese on it and a little bit of balsamic vinegar, and
No, they're purists here. You can't do that.
Well, I had a little bit of. I had cilantro on top of each piece because I didn't have basil, and I had people that were ridiculing the shit out of me because I did that to a tomato. And I was like,
Because this is the South, man.
it's freaking awesome. How about that?
Yeah.
I mean,
I was
kiss
like,
my ass. It is good.
I like tomatoes, but I'm making it better. All right. All
Maybe
right?
open your mind a little bit.
Or mind your own business.
Yeah.
How about that?
Well, in that aspect, I can blame myself because I did put it out there for all the world to see. But I mean, they were.
Well, that was your mistake, Aaron.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
can't-
they ridiculed the
you
crap
don't-
out of me.
You don't put a non-traditional tomato salad or tomato sandwich down here in the South.
It wasn't a sandwich. There was no bread.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was
right.
just tomato. It was an appetizer.
Yeah. I am not so much keto. I do like bread. But I'm also fat, and Aaron's not. So there's
Well,
that.
I'm not fat anymore. I was at one point over 200 pounds, but
Man, I'm still over 200 pounds. So there's that. Yeah. So yeah, we're working on different products. It's probably just a whole selection. We haven't really nailed down exactly what we want to do, but I think both of us do want to do it.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And so hopefully his podcast here may make that help make that a reality.
Yeah, I mean,
Just kind
I
of
think
need to get back into it. But I think the point is, Aaron and I, we kind of enjoy working together and experimenting with these different things that we kind of do.
old school ideas.
Old school ideas. Cheese. Hey man,
Yeah.
cheese.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
still trying to talk my wife into letting me get goats.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I see now. It's I'm trying to sell her with the aspect that yes, you can make cheese. You've got goat's milk, and they eat poison oak, poison ivy, all that kind of crap.
And they mow your yard.
Yeah, exactly. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking pack goats. So I really want to.
How do you train pack goats here in South Carolina?
So
I'm
I'm gonna take them back to Montana with me.
You can bring them up to Paris Mountain with you.
Well, I mean, now here's
that'd be hilarious. You show up at Paris
Right.
Mountain. Paris Mountain, for all you listeners, is kind of a cool little hiking place. I mean, it's just outside the city, so it's usually like there's way too many people there, but it is fun to go for an afternoon and just kind of do like a nature hike. But you're not out in the middle of the woods with no one. There's lots of people just walking the trail with you.
Yeah, they've got some really good trails, but
Yeah.
I think if somebody saw you with a bunch of goats trailing, like a pack string of goats trailing
I think
through,
it'd be hilarious.
it would be great. But honestly, that's how they're trained. Like there's tons of people out there that actually do it. One of my good buddies does it. Josh Sangre, he's got pack goats. He was the one that originally had told me about it. I thought he was full of shit when he told me, "Oh yeah, I got goats to pack out my my elk." And I was like, "Go fuck yourself." No, you don't. You can't get goats to even stay in a pen. And he's like, "No, seriously. They pack out everything." And then he started sending me pictures and videos and stuff, and I was like, "I'll be damned." but yeah, so he opened me up to the idea, and then I started listening to different podcasts. Like I listened to Garrett Weaver, and he had Naldo Sherpa on there talking about his pack goats and stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking try this. I'm gonna do it. And when I travel all over, I'm gonna bring my damn pack goats with me.
How many do you need? Like 5 or 6 or something?
Well, I mean, honestly, if I only have one, that's 50 pounds less that I have to fucking carry. So that's
okay.
That's one less trip that I have to make if I'm solo hunting. But I was thinking,
did they stay quiet enough while you're freaking hunting that they're not going to be like, ah,
so
and then like the elk's like,
so
and then run off?
What my buddy Josh,
how does that work?
What my buddy Josh had told me is he always keeps one white pack goat with him, and he does that for a few different reasons. So he has the white one, so so that one, it keeps him busy while he's out in the backcountry. No. No, so he.
I'm trying to behave myself at this point in the conversation.
No,
there's so much that I could say right now that's inappropriate on so many different levels.
No, but he keeps the one white pack goat. For some reason, he said that the elk and deer are like drawn to that white goat, and he doesn't know why. And he'll let them just like run around while he's hunting, and they'll be paying attention to the goat, and he can draw and like take a shot and all that kind of stuff because they're looking at the damn goat. So he keeps a white goat for that. Number 2 is it sticks out to grizzly bears and like other predatory animals. So the
grizzly will go for them first.
Exactly. So
rather than you.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
So that's another reason, because he hunts in like dense grizzly area and stuff. So he's like sacrificing a goat. Although I don't think he's ever actually lost a goat to a predatory animal, but I guess that's his thinking behind it, is that they're going to go for the goat first. But apparently they make a fucking crazy noise or whatever when they sense a predatory animal around.
Oh.
So, yeah, like a weird...
Like...
like the screaming goat.
Motherfucker, come get me. There's a bear behind me. Yeah.
I don't know how we got to talking about... Oh, the goat's milk.
Yes.
Goat's milk.
Yeah, the goat's milk.
So you can make soap out of goat's milk. It's actually very good for you. And something else we'd messed with was beer soap, right?
Yeah. I have made, and with your help, 1 year also, or maybe 2 years, 1 year at least. Mm-hmm. We did do beer soap for some of the local breweries around here, which is generally a pretty good hit right there. It's kind of fun to make. We make a whole bunch of batches, and honestly, for their gift shop or whatever, it's, they're a brewery, so they're not there to sell soap. But it's kind of a fun thing to have.
It's a novelty item.
Yeah, a nice novelty item, and they really like it around like the Christmas time.
Yeah,
and because they can put together little gift baskets of randomly made products with beer, and then like throw a 6-pack in there, and then all of a sudden you've got this gift basket.
Yeah.
For the one you love. Here you go. Here's a 6-pack and chapstick and soap because you stink.
By the way, yeah, that's
all you
what I
do
was
is drink
thinking.
beer.
Hey, you need to wash that thing before you come to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, never mind. I was going to go somewhere else with it, and it's going to not put me in a flattering light. So.
That's all right. Yeah, but actually, though, there is some fun history about why beer is wonderful to put in soap. First of all, it is great for the foam in soap. It actually works really great within your hair, for instance. And what we put in the soap actually is we do add malt and hops to the soap. And what the hops help with are they're actually antioxidant. So, those are some fun things as far as like beer soap goes. It sounds really strange to make soap out of beer, but it's not a new thing. It is not a new thing at all. And so I've noticed if you go to like a lot of breweries, and I started doing this, and I wish I would have done it sooner and jumped on the market more. I saw one person doing it, but now like everybody does it. You can pretty much go to any brewery, and like a lot of times they got beer soap there. So it's unfortunate that I kind of was playing around with this locally, and then I should have just went all out with it, because there's lots of people that actually do it. But no, it actually does make an excellent soap. So does milk. Milk makes a wonderful soap. Hell, my sister, anytime she's always asking me for it. I make this great milk and honey lavender soap, and a lot of times you'll see milk soap where they will be using the goat milk, and with goat milk it makes a much whiter soap. What's kind of cool, and I think with cow milk, is that it makes like this cool caramel colored soap.
Why do you think that is?
It's because of the sugar content in the milk. The milk actually burns when you add the lye to it. The sugar content is much lower in goat milk than it is in cow milk.
Really?
Yeah, and so that's why you get this brown soap with cow milk versus the white soap with goat milk.
I thought goat's milk was sweeter than cow's milk.
Mm-mm. There's more lactose in cow's milk.
Didn't realize that.
So, but like it in itself kind of produces.
Obviously,
its own...
I've never drank goat's milk.
I've had a few times. I'm not huge on goat milk, but I think it's kind of like an acquired taste. If you grow up with it, I'd imagine it's like, okay, this is pretty good.
I love goat cheese though.
I do. You know, I like older goat cheese, like not like the crumbly stuff, but like the
sliced.
Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff's good too. Have
Yeah,
you
it's
had
like-
sheep cheese?
Oh, one of my favorite cheeses, Manchego.
I don't. Yeah, I mean,
I
maybe
discovered Manchego probably about 2 years ago, and it's starting to become more popular as Spanish cheese. Freaking love Manchego.
So Edith came home with these things that are called baleadas, and
Okay.
if you don't
I feel
know
like
what
I know what this
Yeah.
is. You'll have to explain it first, but
So basically, it's like a shawarma, and those
with
who don't,
egg and bean in it.
yeah. So those who don't know what shawarma is, it's like a pita bread almost, but it's got like it's got like meat.
Yeah, this is
and
their
all that kind of
Central
stuff.
American tortilla, which is thicker than the Mexican
Right.
tortilla.
Yeah, I think it tastes better, but than the regular corn tortilla or whatever. They still eat a lot of the corn tortillas and stuff, but anyway, she came home with this baleada, and it had some kind of cheese in it, and like when I bit into it, I was like, "What is that? What does that taste?"
Foot?
I was like, I've smelled that before. You know how sometimes you smell something.
Is this
and
that?
You can,
Is that the cheese that smells like foot or whatever that they love? Like, I mean, it's weird.
I would not explain it as foot. So when I was in Afghanistan, they had goats everywhere, and if anybody has smelled somebody who has lived with their goats in their house, it's an unmistakable smell. So,
Be honest, I don't have that much experience with that.
so I was like,
Tell us more, Aaron.
there's this taste that's going on with this baleada, and it's vaguely familiar, like to a smell, and I was like, you know what it is? It tastes like you would imagine a goat's ass to smell like. And my wife was like, what? And I was like, yeah, like if I licked a goat's ass, this is basically what
Yeah, so
what this
I wasn't
tastes
talking
like.
about any of those cheeses. If that's what you're talking about, right there.
Some people like a really strong cheese, and she absolutely loves that cheese. I would not explain it to taste like foot. I would explain it to taste like maybe
Goat's ass.
like if you were giving a goat a rim job. Like, I mean, it was not good. like all up in it, just.
All right, so since we've totally gone off base here, can I ask you this, Aaron? Between oysters
Scotch just went up my nose.
rim job cheese, what's a better survival food? Because people in the field want to know this.
I would much rather have oysters. You gotta do what you gotta do to survive, but if I have my choice and I've got goat rim job or oysters, I'm going with oysters. Don't let your kids listen to this podcast.
Yeah. We've gone on the weeds on this. There's actually no subject of this. We talked about soap for a second and chapstick, and then somehow we managed to get ourselves to go
Pleasuring a goat.
okay, all right. So, with that said, I think we've kind of ran out of subjects here. No, we probably have lots of subjects, but.
Yeah. So anyway, if you're interested in making your own soaps, I would I mean, you can give it a YouTube, and there's tons of people out there that can guide you in the right direction for making soap. You don't need your own goat. But no, seriously, if you really are interested in it, as far as a hunting aspect of it, if you've got a bear and you want to give me some fat, I really am interested in rendering bear fat and making a true traditional soap.
Yeah, actually, this guy he wants to try the actually burning the hardwood and.
Yeah, I still have a bunch of hardwood ash.
I'd love to give that a try. I just don't know how to really go about doing it. I think you got to burn a shitload. But I don't know enough about it.
I've got a whole metal trash can full of hardwood ash, and yeah, so I've actually done quite a bit of research on it. Not saying that it was true good research because. Let's be honest, most of it came off of YouTube. But I've watched a lot of videos. How about that? But anyway, so the switching camo guys are going on a bear hunt. Actually, as we speak, today's the 10th, right? Yeah.
Come on, everybody. Going on a bear hunt.
Yeah. So they're actually in Oregon right now, and I'm an affiliate with Switching Camo. So if you do not know who Switching Camo is, you need to give them a look. I mean, they're great. They help out veterans get into the outdoors and stuff like that, and they create great content for the outdoors. That they really care about veterans. The owner. And actually, the managing partners of Switching Camo are all active military. So great guys. But anyway, hopefully they kill a bear, and hopefully I can talk them into giving me some bear fat. But otherwise, if you killed a spring bear this year, there's probably not a whole lot of fat from it. But if you just want to get rid of some bear fat, give me a shout. And I would love to take it off your hands. And if you want to give me a roast or something like that, too, that would be awesome. But anyway, with that, you have any signing off comments?
I got nothing, man. I think I talked enough. Bored these people enough.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good, man. Great to have you on. It's been a
I appreciate the opportunity and actually just kind of sitting here and talking about
bullshit
and like cool stuff that we kind of messed around with. So
yeah, so we'll definitely have to have another one. And so hopefully you guys enjoyed, and give us a like if you liked it. If not, give me some constructive criticism. I try to leave my feelings at home, and I want some honest feedback. So